So thank you for that. That was all very helpful. So for me, I just want to first off just appreciate the very concise and useful presentation on a very complex issue. It's probably one of the best presentations in terms of just concision and also really walking everybody through how this all happens. I think for me, there's two issues that we're talking about tonight. One is related to RHNA in the housing allocation. We've received a lot of letters asking why didn't we challenge our allocation to a month ago? And the answer is because there's no allocation to challenge at this point in time. We said we liked the methodology. We didn't necessarily say we liked or we approved of the actual number. For me, I think that, I continue to be open to looking at how we might be able to make a case, as you laid out, that I think is defensible, whether it may not be accepted, but defensible, and also honors the equity issues and things that we highlighted as a priority for housing here. I think I greatly appreciated staff's kind of 4 meetings kind of over the next 6 months timeline that really does allow for this conversation to happen. And I think that we should be looking, it seems from your staff presentation that under Article 26, we can probably find a way to accommodate 3,200 units if we build on every single possible generally available form of piece of land. And I personally, I would have liked to have seen parks and other things in some of those areas, but if we're going to honor the charter and whatnot, the way that we have sworn to do, I think we need to at least look at what that looks like, and that we should at least be open to considering that as a path for how we, kind of challenge the numbers and ask for reconsider or appeal the numbers and ask for reconsideration. I remember the original Alameda Point plan that had 3,200, 2,200 homes or 1,800 homes. I can't remember exactly how many it was. It had a single row of single family homes between the hangars in order to be a Measure A compliant housing plan. It was from a design standpoint terrible. I wouldn't want to live in that neighborhood, but if that's the rules we follow, those are the rules we've been given. I think the second question we have is how do we certify a housing element? Because that's where we get into, we have not used the multifamily overlay to accommodate a huge number of units. We've used it in the past because it was a way to accommodate affordable housing units. And I think that after this vote and whatnot, it is really important for us to at least remain open to a path forward that doesn't rely on the multifamily overlay and relies on, what I would say is the good faith arguments that we need to be prioritizing and building affordable housing. And since funding is the issue with that, I think that a way for us to remain very consistent and compliant with our charter and also meet housing element law, at least from an affordable housing standpoint, is rather than using a multifamily overlay, which is challenging to begin with, and we're using inclusionary law that doesn't, as Ms. Lorden pointed out, we're going to build a lot of market rate housing and our affordable housing is going to lag behind. We should be looking at what it would take to fund that affordable housing and make that case. I think that should be a part of the conversation. Again, I think, I'm not driving a specific outcome, but I do think these are things we need to be talking with our community about as we move forward with deciding that. Lastly, I really appreciated the idea of having the conversation, considering a range. I think the bottom of that range is 3,200 because that's Measure A compliant and consistent with the staff presentation up to probably the 5,000. And, for right now, I think instead of making a decision, I think we should remain open to how we can have that conversation with our community, with the new council that's coming in 2 weeks, et cetera. But anyway, I just wanted to thank everybody for their time. The presentation was fabulous. I'm really excited to have this conversation. I think, the staff report does a great job of laying out both those paths, the RHNA path and allocations, but also how are we going to get to our housing element? I'm doubtful that after everything I've been through on the council about charter violations and whatever else, that I'm going to be quick to jump into violating the charter in terms of how we meet our housing element arena allocations. But I think we're going to need to get closer to what those numbers are before I'm going to be able to make a decision around that.